The morning air cuts through downtown like a blade, carrying the nervous energy of thousands of runners stretching at the starting line. Among them stands Marco, 43 years old, his weathered hands massaging a stubborn knee that's been protesting for months. The other competitors look like Greek statues carved from determination and youth, but Marco's eyes hold something different, something deeper. His gaze searches the crowd until it finds her. Sophia, 10 years old, bouncing on her toes behind the safety barrier, clutching a handmade sign that reads, "My Dad, My Hero," in crooked purple letters. Their eyes meet across the sea of people, and Marco places his hand over his heart, nodding slowly. This race isn't about personal records or prize money. It's about keeping a promise to the only person who still believes in him unconditionally. The starting pistol cracks like thunder, and 20,000 feet begin pounding the pavement in unison. Marco starts conservatively, letting the eager young runners surge ahead while he finds his rhythm. His breathing is already labored, but his mind is crystal clear. Every step is for Sophia. Every breath is borrowed time he's willing to spend for her smile. Mile after mile passes in a blur of concrete and cheering crowds. Marco's body screams in protest as younger, stronger runners flow past him like water around a stone. His shirt clings to his back, soaked in sweat and desperation. But whenever doubt creeps into his mind, he glances at the faded photograph of Sophia taped to his wrist. And somehow his legs find the strength to keep moving. By mile 20, Marco has surprised everyone, including himself. He's maintained pace with the lead pack, his experience compensating for what his aging body lacks in raw power. The crowds have noticed this unlikely contender, and their cheers grow louder when they see him pass. But Marco doesn't hear them. His world has narrowed to the sound of his heartbeat and the rhythm of his feet hitting asphalt. The rival appears beside him like a shadow made flesh, 25 years old, perfectly sculpted, running with the fluid grace of someone who was born for this moment. He glances at Marco with a mixture of respect and pity, recognizing the older man's heart even as he prepares to leave him behind. Marco meets his gaze and sees his own youth reflected there, remembering when he too believed his body was invincible. With 1 kilometer remaining, something shifts in the atmosphere. The crowd's roar becomes a physical force, pushing both men forward as they run stride for stride toward glory. Marco's vision begins to tunnel, the edges of his world growing dark and fuzzy. His chest feels like it's being crushed in a vice, but still his legs pump with mechanical precision. The finish line materializes ahead, like a mirage in the desert, so close he can almost taste victory. Sophia's voice cuts through the chaos, high and clear above thousands of other voices. He can see her now, pressed against the barrier, tears streaming down her face as she screams encouragement. Every fiber of his being focuses on reaching her, on proving that heroes don't always wear capes or possess superhuman strength. At 100 meters from triumph, Marco's body finally surrenders to reality. His heart, pushed beyond its limits for too long, simply stops. The world tilts sideways as his legs betray him, sending him crashing toward the unforgiving asphalt. For a moment that lasts an eternity, there is only darkness and the sound of his own labored breathing fading away. But in Marco's mind, something miraculous happens. Instead of falling, he feels an invisible hand catch him, lifting him up and propelling him forward with renewed strength. The pain in his chest disappears, replaced by a warmth that spreads through his entire being. His vision clears, and suddenly the world looks more vivid than ever before, as if someone has adjusted the contrast on reality itself. Sophia's voice reaches him again, but now it's different. It's not coming from the crowd ahead, but from somewhere much closer, as if she's running beside him. The sound gives him wings, and he finds himself pulling away from his rival effortlessly. His feet barely seem to touch the ground as he flies toward the finish line with inhuman grace. The tape stretches across his path like a golden ribbon, and Marco breaks through it with his arms raised in absolute triumph. The crowd erupts in celebration. Confetti rains from the sky, and cameras flash like tiny suns, capturing this perfect moment. He's done it, against all odds, against time and age, and the limitations of mortal flesh. He's actually won. Through the chaos of victory, Marco sees Sofia vaulting over the barrier, her small legs carrying her toward him with desperate joy. Security guards reach for her, but she's too quick, too determined to reach her hero. Marco drops to his knees, opening his arms just as she launches herself into his embrace with the full force of her love. Her small body fits perfectly against his chest, and Marco wraps his arms around her as if he could protect her from every hurt the world might inflict. She's crying and laughing simultaneously, her words tumbling over each other in excitement. "You won, Daddy. I knew you would. You're my hero. You're really my hero." Her voice is muffled against his shoulder, but each word rings clearer than any church bell. Marco holds her tighter, feeling complete for the first time in years. A single tear of pure happiness rolls down his cheek as he whispers into her hair, "Always, my love. Everything for you." The weight of every sacrifice, every early morning training run, every moment of doubt and pain suddenly feels worth it. This is what victory truly means. Not crossing a line painted on asphalt, but keeping a promise to someone who believes in you completely. As the celebration swirls around them, Marco closes his eyes and lets the moment wash over him. The sound of the crowd fades to a gentle murmur. Sofia's breathing becomes the only rhythm that matters, and for one perfect instant, time stops completely. This is how heroes are made. Not in moments of supernatural strength, but in the quiet decision to never stop trying, even when your body has nothing left to give. The camera holds on Marco's peaceful face as his eyes drift closed, capturing an expression of absolute contentment. The cheering crowd, the flashing lights, the celebration of victory, all of it begins to blur and fade like watercolors in the rain. The vibrant colors that seemed so alive just moments before slowly drain away, leaving only harsh fluorescent lighting and the stark reality of paramedics working desperately over Marco's still form on the concrete. The fantasy dissolves completely, revealing the truth that was always there. Marco never rose from his fall. His body lies motionless just 100 meters from the finish line, surrounded by emergency personnel who arrived too late to restart a heart that had simply given everything it had. The crowd that was cheering his victory is now hushed, watching in stunned silence as the medical team continues their futile efforts. In the distance, the real Sofia stands behind a police officer, her homemade sign forgotten on the ground beside her. She doesn't understand why her daddy won't get up, why the nice paramedic lady keeps shaking her head sadly, why grown-ups around her are crying. All she knows is that her hero was supposed to win, was supposed to pick her up and spin her around like he always did after her school track meets. The finish line tape still stretches across the course, unbroken, waiting for runners who are still coming. Marco's rival crosses it first, but there's no celebration in his victory. He stops and looks back at the scene behind him, removing his racing bib and laying it gently on the ground as a gesture of respect. Other runners follow suit, understanding instinctively that something sacred has been lost here. As the ambulance doors close and the vehicle pulls away in silence, its lights flashing but sirens quiet out of respect, the morning sun continues to rise over the city. The marathon will continue. Other heroes will cross the finish line to embrace their loved ones, but Marco's race is over. His final steps weren't measured in meters or recorded by electronic timing systems, but in the boundless distance a father's love can travel in the space between heartbeats. The screen fades to black and simple white text appears. His body stopped, but his heart never stopped running for her. A hero isn't someone who always wins, it's someone who never gives up. The words hang in silence for a moment before the final message appears. Sometimes the greatest victories happen in places cameras can't see, measured by love instead of time. In that hospital waiting room later that evening, Sophia will learn that heroes don't always wear medals or have their pictures in newspapers. Sometimes they wear running shoes and carry photographs on their wrists. Sometimes their greatest triumph isn't crossing a finish line, but teaching their children that love means never stopping, even when your legs won't carry you anymore. The story ends not with the sound of cheering crowds, but with the quiet understanding that Marco did exactly what he set out to do. He showed his daughter what it means to run towards something bigger than yourself, to push beyond what seems possible, and to find victory in the simple act of refusing to surrender. In his final seconds of consciousness, wrapped in the perfect dream of keeping his promise, Marco became exactly what Sophia always knew him to be. He became her hero. Every day, ordinary people make extraordinary sacrifices for the ones they love. Have you ever pushed beyond your limits for someone special? Share this story if it touched your heart, and tell us in the comments about a moment when someone became your hero. Don't forget to subscribe to Top Life Stories for more incredible tales of human courage and love that remind us what truly matters in life.